Turning obstacles into opportunities can lead to growth, innovation, and action. Please welcome to the stage Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson.
Good morning. It's been a really wonderful morning so far. Thanks for being here. My name's Deidre Henderson. I'm Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Utah. And I want to just talk about a few things that I've learned recently. 4 weeks ago today, actually, I was getting on a plane in Charleston, South Carolina, when I found out about a terrible shooting that had happened at Utah Valley University. By the time I landed at my layover in Dulles, we knew that Charlie Kirk had not survived. My main concern, of course, was the students, thousands of students, who witnessed this terrible, terrible tragedy. I was so concerned about the long-term impacts on those students and how awful witnessing that gruesome, terrible thing was for everybody who saw it, and so many people saw it in person, on social media. I was also incredibly grateful for the way our governor handled it, for the way our governor led and showed light and hope and goodness in a time of darkness and evil. Just a few days later, I was in Germany with a delegation of 11 other secretaries of state from across the country. We were there visiting with members of the German parliament. It's like their Congress, members of Congress, with their foreign minister, minister of the interior, visiting with business leaders. And everywhere I went, almost every meeting, when they found out I was from Utah, they knew what had happened. They had been affected by it too. They also knew that our response here as a state was one of goodness and one of example to be emulated. It was fascinating. Here I was in Berlin. I'd never been to Berlin before. We were staying in former East Berlin part of town, having meetings there. And there were so many buildings that I saw that were still riddled with bullet holes. Buildings that had been bombed. Half the building was ripped away, and they put glass in place in the big holes for windows and left the buildings looking as they were, and lived in them and had stores and businesses in them, as a reminder of what had happened a long time ago, these terrible things that had happened. Everywhere you look in Berlin, there's evidence of this history. There's bricks in the road all along where the Berlin Wall was to remind people of the separation that had occurred and the reunification that happened really only 35 years ago this month. And all of this is there as a testament and a reminder of this terrible time. They want to remember so that they don't ever repeat it. This horrible, horrible period of time. And yet, today, Germany is one of the strongest economies, the strongest economy in Europe. They're an economic and manufacturing and trade powerhouse, founding member of the EU. And they are a people who revere the freedom, the democracy that has been instilled in them since post-World War II. They are an example of post-traumatic growth. Now, we hear a lot about post-traumatic stress. We hear a little less about post-traumatic growth. And this is something that I have thought a lot about over the past few years, and especially the past few weeks. The idea that when bad things happen, whether they're small bad things or big bad things, any kind of obstacle or challenge or adversity, that we have a choice to either become stronger and better and more resilient and learn from it, or to let those adversities get the better of us. And over the years, I have learned that it's not easy, but the best thing to do is to learn from the challenges and the obstacles that we do face, we will face. We can't escape it. It's impossible to escape. There was a study not too long ago, it was a 30-year study of young people in Hawaii. And these young people were studied over from the time they were infants clear to the time all the way through their 20s. And a full third of those Hawaiian youth, and they were all considered disadvantaged young people. And a third of them, they found, were really resilient. Didn't matter what bad things happened to them, they overcame them. They were vulnerable but invincible. They were impervious to the challenges that they faced. And the characteristic that they exhibited the most, this 1/3 of these young people, was their ability to find meaning in everything, every situation, every challenge that happened to them. They found meaning, they were resilient, they were able to overcome, not despite adversity, but because of the adversity. Now, we all face challenges. The past few years have been really challenging for me, not just because Governor Cox and I were elected to run a state in the middle of a global pandemic, followed by the worst drought in history, and all sorts of challenges that have come along the way, but I've had personal challenges. My dad died. My cousin was murdered by her ex-husband. My best friend was diagnosed with glioblastoma and died from that 6 months ago. Mia Love. I learned a lot from Mia. Mia, many of you probably are familiar with who she was. She was an incredible woman with an incredible amount of faith who would not allow this horrible diagnosis to define her. She was diagnosed in 2022, in April of 2022. And we have a tight little circle of friends who were very alarmed at this diagnosis of hers because she was told, this is it. This is how you are going to die. And you've got 12 to 15 months left in your life. But Mia refused to accept it. She would not allow us to talk about it. She would not allow us to cry in front of her. She would not allow the inevitable to destroy her present. In fact, one day she said, you know, I've been thinking, and the one thing I want more than anything is for this terrible thing to go away. I want this cancer to be gone. I want this tumor to be out of my head. But you know what? We can't do that. So I've decided that I'm not going to die. I've decided I'm going to live. And she did. She packed a whole bunch of life in the 3 years that she had left. And she refused to allow a diagnosis to take away her self-determination. She couldn't control what was happening to her, but she could control how she felt about it. She could control her response to it. And I learned so much from my dear friend through that really difficult time. And I know that that's the key to success. It's the key to life. It's the key to leadership. It's the key to challenges because we all will have them. There is no escaping it. But the only thing we can control is our response to those challenges and those obstacles. And oftentimes, those obstacles provide the very opportunity that we need to become better, to be innovative, to be creative, to think outside the box. One final story. My mom, she just turned 77. She's a tiny little woman. 2 years ago, my brother took her to the rodeo in Spanish Fork. And they left a little bit early. And as they were going to the parking lot to get in the car, a bull got loose. a bull that was strapped and bucking ran into the parking lot and started chasing my little mom. And my brother, trying to protect my mom, got trampled by this bull on his leg. My mom got knocked to the ground. She saw a truck, and she thought, I'm gonna get into the bed of that truck and try to hide from this bull. And so she grabbed onto the door handle of this truck to try to propel her short little body into the bed of the truck, and the door opened. And she shut the door and kept trying to climb up over, and the door opened again, and she shut the door again. And then she realized there was someone inside the cab of the truck opening the door so she could get in and be safe from the bull. Now, she escaped that incident with a few cuts and bruises, maybe a little trauma. She has since been to a rodeo. But my point is this: we'll never live without some sort of a bull chasing us in a parking lot, proverbially. We'll always have some sort of challenge, and we'll have to figure out how to deal with it. Look for the open doors. Be creative. See adversity as advantage. Obstacles aren't adversity, they are advantage if we see them that way. You can all think of a time in your life when you've had some sort of a challenge and you handled that adversity in a way that was beneficial to you. We can all probably think of times in our lives when we let the adversity handle us as well. And so my hope is that each of us, as we go through life, prepare for those challenges, expect them, actually embrace them, because those are the times that we learn the most. We learn to love more deeply. We learn to be more empathetic to other people. We gain strength and we grow in ways we never would have had we not encountered those obstacles and embraced them and not run from them, learned from them. Because each one of us has a role to play on this planet Earth, in this protracted gleam called life. We have a part to do, and we have to be prepared every moment of every day to do that part and to take care of how we respond to those obstacles that come our way. Thank you all for being here. God bless all of you, and God bless the great state of Utah.